Though Christians were a majority in the Byzantine period and presently represent 10% of the population, they have continued to suffer different kinds of persecution ever since the Islamic invasion in the 7th century. They were, however, always proud of their faith, never denied the cross, and when the need arose, always prepared to risk their lives.
That in the time of Turks who occupied Egypt, they used to kidnap the children and they took them to Turkey to be soldiers in the Osmani army.
The Turks, however, on seeing the Christian symbol and not wanting soldiers bearing that stigma in their ranks, would cut off their children's hands.
And our father said, we have our boy or our children without arm. It is better than to lose them forever.
At the beginning of the 1970s, Egypt became an Islamic republic and the Quran became its main source of legislation. It was a defining moment for Muslim-Christian relations, after which Christians became second-class citizens. A lot of new mosques have recently been built in Egypt, often against building regulations, on productive land or near irrigation channels. Meanwhile, it takes over 20 years to get a permit to build a Christian church, even on plots free of any restrictions.
If anyone wants to eliminate taxes on a building he has just built, he includes a small mosque, a prayer space in his building plans, whereas Copts cannot even build a toilet in their church without the president's permission.
If construction of a church begins, a minaret immediately springs up next to the church. Furthermore, Egyptian law dictates that a church cannot stand less than 300 meters from a mosque, regardless of whether the church stood on the site beforehand or not. Although Christians make up only 10% of the population, in many regions of the country, the Coptic Church remains the only institution helping the poor and abandoned, both Christian and Muslim alike. Catholic Coptic schools in Egypt are very highly regarded. Although crosses are evident throughout the buildings and the teachers are Catholic, they do not lack for Muslim students, with over 50% of students declared Muslims.
We want to educate people to coexist. We try to bring up Christian Egyptians and Muslim Egyptians in exactly the same way. And thus far, this seems to have worked without any serious problems for over 130 years.
Notwithstanding evidence of a peaceful coexistence in church institutions, life on the streets reveals an increasing intolerance towards Christians. Christian women are insulted on the streets if they do not wear the Muslim headscarf, the hijab. In small villages, girls are afraid of going out of their homes with uncovered heads, whether to a nearby shop or school.
We walk the streets and hear them saying, "We'll teach you manners. We will bring you up. You'll stay at home. You will wear the hijab." Such comments are repeated very often.
One of the most dramatic forms of brutal repressions in Egypt is the kidnapping of children from Christian families. Small boys are held captive for large ransoms, and even after a ransom has been paid, they are often killed. The fate of Christian girls is no less tragic.
A girl is kidnapped, held for a month at an unknown location, where she is raped by many Muslims and given drugs, everything to influence her, to have her declare before the camera on a video recording that she has converted to Islam voluntarily.
My name is Mona Shanuda Saeed. I am a Muslim. I converted to Islam of my own conviction. Nobody kidnapped me or forced me. I believe 100% in what I did. I thank God that He led me to Islam.
The moment she makes such a declaration, the woman officially becomes a Muslim, and her Christian family loses all rights to her.
My kidnapped daughter's name is Nadia. She was 14 years old. She went out to go to church. She was kidnapped on her way back home. The kidnapper negotiated a ransom for her return. I paid the required money. Then they told me the girl is already married. She was 14 years old at the time. He was 45. People don't understand what it means when your daughter is kidnapped. You bring her up for 14 years. You see how she grows and becomes your princess. Meanwhile, she disappears and you don't know where she is. I want people to understand that I have lost my daughter. Me and many other people. We don't know where they are.
Increasingly hostile anti-Christian statements from Islamic religious leaders encourage attacks on Christian women.
العرايا السافرات اللي رايحين عشان يغتصبوا وعلى فكرة 19 صليبيات مفيش لا حياء ولا أدب ولا خوف ولا تلاقي المرأة من دول نكش شعرها كده وإيه زي شيطانة شياطين اسمهم نساء.
Attacks against Christians have been escalating from year to year. More and more Christians have been injured and an increasing number are being killed. The world's media, however, paid little attention to the situation in Egypt until the dramatic events of the night of December 31st, 2010 and January 1st, 2011, when photos of the massacre at the All Saints Church in Alexandria circulated around the world.
On New Year's Eve, people gather in the church to pray. There are usually 2,000 to 3,000 people. We stood by the door. Father Mahar had just finished prayers with a hymn. At 12:20 we heard a great explosion, a thunderclap, very frightening. The hymn was sung just in time. Had the hymn, the prayer, not been sung, people would have left the church at the moment of the explosion. All the glass from the windows fell on the altar and on us. Many people suffered cuts. Many in the church started to ask about their children, began searching for their sons and daughters. Each searched for his father, each for his mother. That was when we were told that it had been a bomb. The explosion was so powerful that people outside, including those who stood in the church courtyard, many of them were wounded. Over 100 were wounded and 20 killed. One man's daughter died outside before his very eyes. He only lost his legs. When he saw his dying daughter, he tried to crawl to her.
To this day, no one has been found guilty of the attack. Though President Mubarak pointed to Iraq's branch of Al-Qaeda, this claim has not been